Hyundai and Kia have just dropped a bombshell. Today, we're going to talk about them adopting the North American charging standard from Tesla, as well as talking about their amazing sales in the first 3 quarters of 2023. Let's get into it. Feel like I'm drowning, guys, because I cannot keep up with the news that's happening across the industry. And I haven't even talked about what's going on the domestic end recently with the auto workers union strike, Ford, Chevy, and Dodge, essentially. That's like, I could have a channel just on what's going on there, but it's a messy situation. This is not. Hyundai, Kia, adopting NACS. Now, this is the exact same charging structure and system that Tesla uses, that Toyota wishes they could be using. Now, it is an open standard, so Toyota is one of the last big dominoes to fall at this point to adopt this standard. Honda just came out recently. We know Nissan's going to be doing it. General Motors, Ford, and yeah, the list goes on and on. So Toyota's the last major domino to fall amongst the major brands in North America. Maybe some of the European brands are not jumping onto it, but yeah, let's get into Hyundai and Kia, what they're doing here. So this is going to be put into their electric cars starting in Q4 2024. And Hyundai will be getting, and Kia for that matter, will be getting access to NACS through the 12,000 plus superchargers in North America. Now, here's the thing. If you have a CCS1 charging port in your Hyundai vehicle, you will be able to use an adapter starting Q1 2025. Don't know if that is going to make it more difficult to charge quickly. I'm not quite sure. I'm sure it's not quite as straightforward as just having the NACS already installed in your car. In Q4 2024, it won't have a CCS1 port at all. It won't have the traditional ports that most of the level 2 chargers are, because it's going to be NACS only. If you're Canadian, north of the border, you guys will have it in the first half of 2025 installed in your EVs up there. And to me, like, Tesla's got to be laughing their way to the bank. Not only do they have some of the best EVs out there and price competitive EVs, as they've just been slashing prices, if their EVs get passed in the future due to more desirable and superior, I'm just saying if, I'm not saying it's going to happen, I don't want to trigger anyone out there, but if they get surpassed in terms of desirability and cost competitiveness from other manufacturers, they have this ace up their sleeve, which is their charging network, and they can charge you hand over fist for secondhand energy. I call it secondhand energy because they're not creating the energy themselves. They're pulling energy from the grid and they're upcharging it for the convenience of charging at their Tesla supercharger. And that's why, like, if you're charging exclusively at any public charger, Tesla supercharger or Electrify America or whatever, if that's all you're doing, you're spending way too much money. You should be in a hybrid or a gas car, because charging from home is the only way it makes sense in most cases. Because even then, depending on where you live in the world, it still might be more expensive than having an efficient gas car or an efficient hybrid. But you got to be charging from home to make the most sense. But if you got to take a road trip or go outside of your local area, Tesla in the current market is destroying everyone because of their convenience with the supercharging network. Their main advantage right now is that supercharging network. It's going completely out the window if you own a Tesla, because all these other EVs are going to be charging at supercharger networks, gumming up the availability of the supercharger charging points. So it's a huge benefit for other manufacturers. If you already own a Tesla, it is not something you want to hear, because if it's already been difficult, or you just don't want to be elbowing or fighting over charging stations, it's going to get a lot more competitive when you add in all these other manufacturers. But it is really good news if you're planning to get a Hyundai or Kia. Kia has pretty much the same press release. Instead of showing, the Ioniq 6 there, they have the upcoming EV9 there, which is going to be very, very expensive. Starts around $55,000 for the rear-wheel drive model, which is very underpowered in my opinion. It is going to be interesting to see how this is received. I can't wait to drive it. I think it looks really cool. It looks, it has some of that edginess that the new Santa Fe has, but the new Santa Fe's a hybrid or a gas model. Anyways, the same situation's going on here for Hyundai, for Kia as it is for Hyundai. But they say something here about the Niro. So existing Niro EV and EV6 owners and future EV9 owners will have access to superchargers with forthcoming NACS adapter and software updates with activation and payment via Kia Connect. So that's pretty cool. You have this adapter and you use your Kia app that it will sync with the Tesla superchargers, because it has to be done through an app, as there's no interface on these Tesla superchargers. If you have a Tesla, you just plug it in and it bills you automatically through your Tesla account. Now remember, Hyundai is also teaming up with Honda, BMW, Mercedes, Stellantis, etc., to develop their own EV charging network. So that's incredible. There's going to be 30,000 chargers throughout the United States. That's compared to 12,000 that we were just talking about for the superchargers for Tesla. And these will start to begin opening in 2024. Canada is going to hit at a later date. Now, while they don't say anything about the Hyundai, I think it's the Hyundai Blue app. I forget that every manufacturer has their own name for their app. But if Kia has theirs connecting through Kia Connect, you better believe Hyundai's is going to connect through the proprietary app as well to the Tesla supercharger. So let's get into the sales numbers for Hyundai and Kia. They have been doing very well, especially Kia. We'll start with Hyundai. Hyundai just set the best ever September total and retail sales. September total sales increased 16% to 68,000, almost 69,000 units. Q3 total increased 9%. Year-to-date up 13%. So it started to cool off for Hyundai Kia, but they were never really hit as hard as the rest of manufacturers with the supply shortages in the past. So green car sales jump 96%. All right, some of the highlights. Eco-friendly sales of 13,508 represented 22% of retail and 95% year-over-year increase. So now keep in mind, that's not that high. Honda with their Honda with the CR-V and Accord hybrids, they're over 50% threshold there. Toyota's about 29% breakthrough threshold for their electrified vehicle. So Hyundai's a little bit behind in terms of percentage volumes, but we know that Hyundai and Kia are ahead when it comes to fully battery electric rollouts. SUVs are almost 80% of the retail sales mix, a 10% increase year over year. Accent, rest in peace, it was canceled. Moving on to the Elantra, up 25% on the year, down 13% on the month, down 12% on the quarter. So Elantra is getting hamstrung by something. Ioniq 5 up 37% as it is the first really juicy battery electric vehicle on the eGMP platform for Hyundai to enter the market. They are producing quite a few here. It's up 140% on the quarter, and they've sold 25,000 so far this year. So they've hit a huge increase in probably battery availability. So they've had some sort of breakthrough here in batteries for the Ioniq 5 and Ioniq 6 as percentages have skyrocketed this past quarter. So that is awesome to see, and that's going to keep prices down on the Ioniq 5 and Ioniq 6. Lease them is my recommendation so you can get that EV tax credit boost. All right, Ioniq 6, the EV sedan that's as efficient as a Tesla Model 3, looks a lot different. That thing's very spaceship looking. But it's a very good sedan, really like the tech in it. 5,000 in the quarter, about 1,600 for the month of September. It's sold 8,000 so far this year. The new Kona should be, it is out in lots right now. It is bigger, more expensive, and don't get the turbo model because it is not very good in my testing. I would get the CVT with the 2 liters, save a lot of money, and get about the same fuel economy. But yeah, the Kona, anyways, up 27% on the month, up 44% on the year. So they're not having any sort of hiccup, it seems, as they're switching over to the new redesign yet anyways. Maybe we'll see a production drop a little bit in the next month or two, but yeah, Kona's crushing it for them for the subcompact crossover market. Nexo fuel cell, whatever, it's almost completely dead in our market. Palisade down 8%. Now, as we'll find out in a little bit, the counterpart on the Kia and the Kia Telluride is produced in America, and that has much better availability and production volume. So Palisade up 11% on the month, but still down 8% on the year. And they're still selling a lot. 58,000's no joke. They're selling nearly 30,000 Santa Cruzes so far this year, an increase of 9% on the year. Santa Fe, as we get ready for the redesign, up 12% on the year for the 2-row crossover, which is adding a 3-row now with the new redesign, kind of like the Kia Sorento has a 3-row. So Santa Fe is getting its 3rd row back with the new redesign, and it is gaining steam, up 38% on the month, 24% on the quarter, and only up 12% on the year. But man, I don't know what's really driving this huge volume here. Maybe they're having some closeout sales on the Santa Fe. Sonata down 45%. Well, here's the thing. We're getting a refresh on the Sonata. So they're probably switching over production and getting the new parts and everything ready for the redesign. It's a heavy refresh, I'll say that. All right, Tucson up 22% on the year, 27% on the quarter, up 45% on the month of September. It's gaining a lot of steam to close out the year. Veloster, rest in peace. And Venue, their most affordable entry-level vehicle, up there with the Elantra, up 17% on the year, down 6% on the quarter, and down 18% on the month, which is not good to see. We want to see more availability of the cheaper cars. Heading on over to Kia, they don't give us percentages like Hyundai, but let's see what they have for highlights here. Best ever September to an all-time record through quarter 3. September is the 14th consecutive month of year-over-year sales growth. Kia is a monster and is actually outselling Hyundai, I believe, so far this year. I think if we go to automotive news, we should be able to see how Hyundai and Kia are doing respectively. Yes, Kia, here we go. Kia is at 518,000. Hyundai at 528,000. But look, Kia actually outsold Hyundai by 400 units, or a little less than 400 units for the quarter. The 3rd quarter, Kia has passed Hyundai. And maybe that sort of volume will continue to grow and outpace them. It will be interesting to see how that pans out long term. EV6, just like the Ioniq 5, is up on the quarter, but the EV6 is actually down on the year, which is quite surprising because the Ioniq 5 and the Ioniq 6 have a lot of volume going for them. The Kia Rio is doing better than last year. We need cheap cars. Was the Kia Rio just canceled though? I think I just made a video where it was discontinued. Maybe it comes in as the K3. Yeah, the Rio is dropping out for 2024. So yeah, cheap cars are getting harder and harder to get as the Mitsubishi Mirage dips out as well in the near future. Kia Forte increasing its volume quite handily on the year, up about 13,000 units. The K5 is in a slump as well, but it had a good month of September, but it's down about 4,000 units on the year. We know that the Hyundai Sonata is not doing so great, but that's getting a big refresh. The Kia K5 is just a carryover. Kia Stinger, rest in peace. Kia Soul. I really like the Soul that I reviewed recently. Get the base level trim with the blind spot monitor package. And yeah, that thing's an absolute hoot. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, Kia Soul volume is up on the year, which is great to see. It's one of the few cheap cars left out there, and you get one for the low 20s. All right, Kia Niro, the hybrid. I'm seeing these everywhere. They're much better availability than something like the new really delicious Toyota Prius. But look at the volume here. It's almost doubled compared to last year when you compare year over year. And they pretty much didn't sell any last September compared to the 2,700 this September. Kia Seltos, just reviewed it. Didn't really like the powertrain. Again, skip the turbo, get the front wheel drive 2-liter with the CVT. You'll save money and get better fuel economy, and it's probably a more responsive and better experience. Anyways, the Seltos here doing well for them. Volume is back on track. They had a rough 2022, if I remember correctly, for the Seltos, but they're up 15,000 units now compared to last year. Sportage, cash cow, over 107,000 units so far this year compared to 90,000 last year, which I think that was a record for them last year. So the Sportage after the month of the September is actually down compared to last year's September, but I think they're really close to the max volume here for the Sportage, around 12,000 units. The Sorento up about 3,000 units on the year, and it is still doing well and pulling strong here in the month of September. Kia Telluride, like I mentioned, 84,000 roughly has sold so far in quarter up until quarter three. If we look at the Palisade, 58,000, 84 to 58,000. It is absolutely smoking the Hyundai brother to this. That one's built in Korea. This one's built here in the United States. Kia Telluride still going strong here in September. Carnival crushing it. They've tripled the volume month over month and almost tripled volume year over year as well. We need more minivans on the market. Kia has a good one on their hands and a very uniquely styled minivan that looks more like an SUV than it does a minivan. I think that's helping its case. But you got V6 in there as well as really good technology for a minivan. So I still haven't tested the Carnival. Don't know when or if I'm ever going to get one to test. It's been out on the market for 2 or 3 years at this point, but I'm getting into there. Hyundai Kia adopting NACS. There is no reason not to invest in a Hyundai and Kia electric vehicle at this point, unless it's just too expensive for you and you don't want an EV. But I'm just saying, you don't need to get a Tesla anymore because you're going to have adapters, or you can wait a few years and get it built into the car. Actually, not even a few years, a single year, because it's getting put in the Q4 of 2024 for Hyundai and Kia EVs here in the United States. So that's a big, big advantage, a big leap forward and peace of mind, and just making a better product of Hyundai and Kia's EVs. When is Toyota going to adopt it is the question. Man, better sooner than later, absolutely. But I'm going to shut it down there. I'll see you guys in the comments. Have a great day and peace.